From the City of Angels, arising from the depths of the left coast to disseminate intellectual anarchy, you are listening to the James Salazar Media Podcast, where you get your weekly dose of pop culture, politics, and futurism. So hold on to your hats and glasses, because this is the wildest ride in the wilderness.
Engage.
Ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Say hello to my little friend.
No, I am the father.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
What's up, savages? And welcome to the James Salazar Media Podcast. I am your host, the former mentioned James Salazar, a.k.a. The Media. Hope everyone is copacetic. Still on my diet. There's always struggles every day. You know, I'm acutely aware. Well, first of all, let me just say this before I start. Today, we're going to talk about headlines from the world of futurism. Okay? But before we get to that, you know, on this diet, you really realize your weaknesses. They're exposed. And when I went to the Life podcast and I told them that I wanted to lose weight, and then some guy tried to challenge me on it, Big Lou, and I welcomed it. There was momentum there. But like in anything in life, you got to get past these motivational moments and start doing the hard work. Who in the fuck is banging shit right now? I curse you from the depths of hell. Stop it, you son of a bitch. Okay, I digress. You know, you find out your weaknesses. And, you know, you need help. Everyone needs help. You know, when I did that, I was over, you know, I said to Bax Baca, who is my best friend and also the founder and creator of the Life podcast, I said to him, there's plenty of things in my life that I'm disciplined about. And it's easy to be disciplined and hang your laurels on the things that you are disciplined about. But it's the things that you're not disciplined about that you have to conquer in life. See, I'm a good opera singer. And I'm consistent with that. And I'm good at helping people. I'm consistent with helping people and showing them the light. But am I consistent with my diet? Absolutely not. Am I consistent with my workout? Well, I used to be consistent with my workout. But I need to get back to that again. But the hard part has always been my diet. And to look yourself in the face and say, this is your weakness. You can't rest on that you're a good opera singer, that you're a good public speaker, that you're a good coach. And people come to you and they confide in you and they value what you say. You can't rest on those, because my fight is with how I eat. And how I let it get out of hand. But we all need help. That's why I went to the Life podcast. I did what I ask of everybody else. Or when I come speak and I ask people to come into life coaching, I'm asking you to be accountable to me for a while till you get momentum, until you get synergy and energy, and once you start getting that momentum towards your success, you know, you won't need me anymore. Well, you never know. I say all that to say this. I went to the Life podcast, and I went to be not only accountable to everybody who hosts the podcast, Bax Baca, the Spaniard, but all his fan base, and of course to you, the savages of the James Salazar Media Podcast. Made myself accountable to you. and I'm trekking. I'm working hard. I'm trying to follow through. But your ego has to take a hit, because sometimes you give in. Sometimes you cheat a little. Sometimes you knew you didn't do as good as you wanted to do, or you look for some loophole. It's a constant fight to do hard work, because that's what it is. It's hard work. I passed all the motivation and all that. Now it's time to put your head to the stone or to the grind and start doing hard work. And that's what's going to have to happen for everybody's dream. But I'm going to start a workout regimen with Bax. And I am, even though we've worked out together all our life, I am going to be submissive. Come to a submissive person, because he needs to push me. And I'm going to do the workout that he suggests. And we're going to record it. And guess what, people? I know he's going to pick something hard and difficult. And I'm going to look terrible doing it. I'm going to fall on my face. But I'll guarantee you one thing. If we are consistent with this, I will perfect every one of those moves by the time I'm done. By the time I get to the weight where I want to be. Because I believe in hard work. And hard work produces results. But we can't do it alone. There's always been someone there supporting, whether it be your parents, your spouse, your friends. And guess what? If you're someone who didn't have all and you still push through to success, well, you know what? You are not the norm. And I definitely celebrate you. That's awesome. And we can look to somebody like that for moments when everyone has left you and everyone has abandoned you and everyone is not having your back, and you got to push when no one believes in it. And it's often after you said you're going to be a diet 200 times. Right? People start snickering and rolling their eyes every time you're going to be on a new one. So, I'm going through. I hope you go through. If you need help with your dream, you need to be accountable to your daily steps, weekly steps, monthly steps, and to push through all those limiting mindsets. Go to jamessalazarmedia.com and check out my coaching services, and we can talk. Prepare for headlines from the world of futurism. And the first headline: the world's first center of psychedelic research opens in the UK. Imperial College London launched the Imperial Center of Psychedelic Research. And the world's first formal center of research into mind-altering substances like LSD, mescaline, that have been regulated to the realm of fringe science for nearly 80 years. And the dean of the school is Joe Rogan. Just kidding. Yeah, we'll see what they can get from that. I have no idea. But if you want to take a trip in a controlled environment, that's where you go. Autonomous scooters use AI to learn your favorite route. I'm surprised about autonomous scooters. That means the scooter drives you. You don't drive it. I'm not talking about the scooters, those... the one Uber has in downtown LA. No matter where you're at, you slide your card in and you can take a Uber. The AI is going to learn your favorite route. So I'm assuming, say you get on a scooter that's autonomous, that's going to drive you. You're not going to drive it. I don't know how safe that is. I hope you have the brake, and I hope you can control the acceleration and the deceleration. Barring all those things are taken care of, you type in, your code. It knows where you live. It knows where your work is. You know where your favorite house is. You know where your favorite food places are, and you just pop up. We're going here, and it takes you there. But I don't know if autonomous scooters are going to be They're going to have the ability to take you off the beaten path for you to take control of it. But that's just... but it's in the UK. European Space Agency will live tweet a mocked asteroid impact. Tell you what. The European Space Agency is going to pivot hard science fiction. The agency will spend a week acting out a catastrophic asteroid impact. They've done this before, but this time it will be broadcasted to the public, according to the Space Agency's press release. Every morning, role-playing experts will get daily news briefed about the hypothetical impact, which they will have to plan around as they try to prepare and deal with the impact. People who follow the ESA on Twitter will get the updates also. So that's awesome. Be a part of this. So if you want to do that, let me do that right now. Let me go to follow this so I can get these updates. Update me. Following. Boom. Guess what? If you get this post, realize it's fake. Don't go crazy. Don't go shooting your dog. Don't go getting revenge from people because you think there's going to be no consequence. Don't be screwing your neighbor's wife. Whatever. Or vice versa. Because you think the world's going to end. No, it's fake. All right? I know you probably think, James, you don't need to tell me that. But, hey, you never know. Some people... You know, when they did War of the Worlds, it was a radio play. And everybody thought it was real. And people panicked. There were some suicides, I think. And definitely people were screwing each other. That was a given. New nanofiber yarn keeps cells alive while injured tissue heals. Nanofiber yarn could help repair damaged muscles and tendons, while also the patient to retain use of his injured area. When you repair muscles or tendons, you really have to fix their movement for a little bit of time by wearing a boot. They're hoping you don't have to do that. And the nano yarn would replace that. They engineered the nanofiber yarn to create a tight coils of hundreds of thousands of aligned nanofibers made from a biocompatible material. Then they seed the different types of living cells including muscle cells along the coil. After stretching the coil to 6 times the original length, they found that most of the cells survived and continued to grow. So, less scar tissue. You know, people who have major injuries, you know, they have like these indents in their skin where the cells couldn't grow back. And they got these big old lumps or big scar tissue. Well, it means that it gives those things that were damaged, those cells that were damaged, time to not only come back and stay alive, but you can also have movement. Brave New World. Coming to a world where, you know, say you get a shark bite, right? And barring that it doesn't pull half of your leg off, you can fill in those teeth marks with this biocompatible material, this nanofiber, and you can still walk, and it will still keep the cells alive. That's awesome. I know a lot of friends who could have had use to that at one time or another. And let's see. Amazon used an AI to automatically fire low productive workers. Oh my goodness. The brass is not even firing you now. Our robot overlords are firing you now. You're fired from an AI system. Just, you know what? Because you can't say, no, I was only in the bathroom 5 minutes. Or, they got cameras everywhere. And not everybody's watching the camera, right? You think you can do like those spy movies and just distract the person not to look at the camera. No. AI sees all. And he sees it when you're picking your nose, picking your murph out of your ass, smoking on the job, not doing work, not doing hard work. Well, AI is just going to give you an answer to call you up. Bring. This is AI. Amazon AI. You're fired, bitch. You're fired, biatch. That's it. That's our future. All right. The Hubble data. The universe is expanding faster and faster. We have bad news for cosmologists out there. You have a lot of work behind you. There's a lot of discrepancy between calculating and theoretical rates at which the universe ought to be expanding based on knowledge of the Big Bang and the rate which scientific data it is actually expanding. So whatever I said right there. So measuring the data. But new data from the Hubble Space Telescope confirms that the faster rate is correct. So they thought it was an error. Then when the new Hubble Space Telescope says no, it's expanding faster. So that just means for people, for the existence of everything. Instead of like 1 billion, like you might end 1 billion years before, before it was supposed to, right? Like 1 billion years. I don't think it's gonna, unless it's gonna expand at such a exponential rate that it'll be like many billions of years. But we're not gonna live that long. So just let you know. We gotta, like, what is it? Maybe, I don't know. I don't want to say. I think I'm thinking something wrong, but I think like 12 billion years, maybe even more, before the Earth, maybe 500 billion years before the universe expands such a point that it rips and all the energy of the universe dissipates. So it might be quicker than what they think, but in the great span of things, it really doesn't matter unless it somehow tells them something about the unifying theory of everything, which I doubt. Lawyers make a rule says that we can nuke apocalyptic asteroids. So I guess we don't have in the law that we can nuke asteroids like in the movie Armageddon. So they want to make a law that allows you to do that. Now that everybody's getting more space minded, let's go start blowing shit up in space. So leave it up to humans. And the Pentagon wants to build satellite repairing androids. That makes sense, since there's a lot of junk. Not only that, they should make robots. My suggestion, they should make robots that repurposes satellites and pull junk satellites to create other satellites, and start using some of that junk we put up in space and maybe do something with it of value. Just have all-encompassing droids cleaning up our space junk and utilizing it. It is still metal, and instead of having it crash to Earth, repurpose it for another satellite. Maybe some of the corporations who threw up satellites that are no longer used can sell some of those products to other satellites that they may need. You never know. Or maybe the government, if you abandon it, should take it over, and maybe they can do something with it. I don't know. But once they start building the droids, sounds like a good idea. New president of Ukraine only campaign online. Let me tell you, that's the way for the future. Probably not the next presidency, but the presidency at the other end will be doing everything online. They're not going to be traveling to every state. They're probably going to go to 5 states at the most, do gigantic rallies, and have it streamed on the internet. And candidates will spend millions and millions of less dollars by taking advantage of social media and the internet. Look at this dude. What's his name? Volodymyr Zelensky. Volodymyr is the new president of Ukraine because of online internet. So, great for him. That's where everything is going. A new app tells you when your smart speaker is spying on you. That's a big thing right now. We just discovered that they've been spying on us, collecting data to sell us or maybe to use against us, our robot overlords. Now there's an app that will show us. No. It's listening to you. Which will also expose how many times they are listening. So get that app. What's the name of this freaking app? Built into the tracks every transmission. A smart home device, whether it is Amazon Echo or a smart TV. And apps called Princeton IoT Inspector. Princeton IoT Inspector. So get that for your thing so they are not spying on your ass. You know? Incriminating yourselves. This video game detects Alzheimer's earlier than lab tests. And what video game is this? It's called Sea Hero Quest. With German developers in Europe. Yeah, so it's helping people with memory loss. For definitely get a part of that. Look for that. Inquire about that if you know somebody who starts at the beginnings of Alzheimer's. This thing just play 2 minutes of gameplay. It's time to say generates the same amount of data that it would take 5 hours to collect in a lab setting. So it's collecting data on your Alzheimer's. I don't know if it fixes it. It says detects Alzheimer's. So I go back on that. It's not going to fix it, but it can analyze it better. And the more information we have will always lead to us finding a cure for it. Surgeon just sent a tiny robot into a heart valve. Now this is super big news. In a world first, surgeons just needed a self-navigating surgery robot in an experimental surgery, training a robot catheter to find its way to a leaky valve in a pig's heart. New robots described in research published Journal of Science Robots mark the beginning of transition from robotic surgery tools to robotic assisted surgery. An autonomous device that can actually take a load off the overburdened human doctors. The catheter found its way to the leaky valve by hugging the wall of the heart as it navigated using artificial intelligence and cameras to sue out its location. The algorithm helps the catheter figure out what type of tissue it's touching, whether it is a heart, or how it should choose its next motion to get where it wants to go. This is amazing, people. This is amazing. Imagine a world where you have these tiny robots in your blood system that takes away all the plaque in your arteries. That would never let a blood clot in your brain from an aneurysm, from a stroke, even ever happening. Fixing tears in your arteries, fixing your liver. This is the first step. This is the first step, my friends, for us living an extra 20 to 30 years with quality of life. Because if your heart can stay good and it can be healed, let alone that we might make biomechanical hearts that will last longer, and biomechanical lungs and livers that will extend our life maybe another 50 years. It is in the realm of possibilities that we can live to 150 with quality of life. This is just the start. This little tiny robot going through the inner lining of the wall to find a leaky valve. Sooner or later, that robot will have the ability to fix it. It was so small. And so, new research, the world is sadder and angrier than ever about this article. The world is not a happy place, at least not according to the people living in it. This week, analytic group Gallup shares the result of a global survey designed to gauge the world's emotional temperature. The report suggests that people are sadder and angrier and more worried than ever before recorded, finding that they could have profound implications on global health. For it is 2018 Global State of Emotional Report. Gallup conducts more than 150,000 interviews with adults living in more than 140 countries. They asked surveys respondents questions how they felt about the prior day, such as whether they smiled or laughed a lot, whether they felt sad or angry. They found that the number of people who said they were experiencing anger increased by 2% points over the previous year, while both worry and sad increased by 1%, both setting new record heights for all three negative emotions. Now, I bet my dimes to dollar that these people live in first world nations. I guarantee you they were looking at the United States, Canada, Europe, places where entitlements are high. One of the most ironic things when you study human behavior, the more entitled you are, the less grateful you are. I want you to think about that. You think people would be grateful for a society that gives them free stuff, but in fact, they become less grateful and more entitled and more demanding and less happy. They begin to resent the world around them and resent the people giving them free stuff. And when someone's entitled, they always feel like a victim. I have no doubt that this is coming from first world nations like United States, Europe. The more entitled you have, the more the more you demand rights for certain entitlements, the less grateful you will be. But why should I be grateful for a right? You're only grateful for a right after it's been taken. Like, it's hard for people to be grateful to free speech until it's taken away from them. This is why it's so easy for those who are less educated, and unfortunately, ironically, I'm talking about people who are actually in school, who want to take the rights of people to talk. But if we unilaterally, did I say that right? Take everybody's freedom of speech, they will be the first to be upset because we're telling them to shut up also. People only want freedom from the speech for themselves and not for anybody else. That not even Canada has free speech. We're the only country that has free speech, and we need to hold on to that shit like no other, because it's what distincts us from everybody else. And a major part due to our Constitution, fabric of our society. It produced different results than other nations do. Now we can go down to the minutiae and tell you why. But the fact of the matter is, it is the pursuit of happiness and personal responsibility. We are a society of people who have a preoccupation of fixing themselves. Now our society is becoming a society with a preoccupation of everybody changing around us and us staying the same. There are people who now want to create laws and change society to mirror what they want society to look like. And as everyone fix themselves and invest in themselves and take personal responsibility from themselves, society gets better. Am I preaching? I think so. Off to the next one. To prevent apocalypse, MIT says study machine behavior. So basically, this article is just encouraging economists and biologists to get into studying machine behavior. Find a way to attach it, because the more people working on machine behavior, AI technologies, the more efficient and more safer it will be. I guess that makes sense. The internet. An internet provider, what's your internet provider? Is selling an elite game service. So, if you happen to be lucky, for additional $15 a month, you can get some premium gaming internet. That's gotta be awesome. By Cox Communication, and you're a gamer, good news for you. Experts warn against forming emotional attachments with robots. Now, I just saw an article about the robotic brothels, and it got held back because they were doing construction without getting permits. Sounds familiar. A brothel where you can have sex with a sex doll, and I think the head is animatronic, but now, I'm going to say some super, super controversial stuff. And I need you to understand it. I'm saying this because I want society to stay and go the same momentum. But the fact of the matter is, women's equality is predicated on men agreeing to it. Because anywhere else in the world where men say, we're not going to accept women as equal, they're not equal. There's definitely standout women that probably can beat up a lot of men, and who are smarter. That's undeniable. But the majority of women are weaker physically, and they can't overcome men's ability. And if they live in a society where they think women should walk behind them and they should hide their face and their body, and if they don't want to do that, they will either get divorced or die or stoned to death. So you need a society that needs to value your freedoms. But women's equality is predicated on men agreeing to it and say, okay, we're going to give it to you. And not to be mean and not to be sexist, that's the only way they can have it. Because whenever society that says you're not going to have equality, women are subjugated, which is a bad thing. And men's self-imposed Western Judeo-Christian laws that you can't rape women or force them to have sex in any kind of way keeps men having to give women a stake in the game because they were not going to have sex unless the woman gives it to them, which is the way it should be. Now here comes robots who are willing, who can easily give men something that traditionally only women controlled in Western society. Like I keep on repeating, in other societies, unless you don't give sex to your man, you get beat, stoned, and murdered. So it is rape most of the time. Talking about the people who don't want to have that happen. Women who don't want to live under that, they have no choice to in those other countries. I'll keep on making my case because how people take things out of context. But here comes sex robots. Suddenly men may not have a need for women and may not give this equality, like, because for men, we don't believe in equality. You're either equal because you earned it. For men, equality has to be earned. That's just the way it is. Most, we all know, those who make the most money, those who have the most strength, they're better than you in those arenas. There's no equality. Michael Jordan's better than me in sports. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. These men who make billions of dollars are smarter than me financially and are in a better position than me. And no one feels sorry for me that I'm not in those positions. Men, when it comes to men, equality has to be earned. And when that happens to women, because these sex robots are willing to take away their trump card, women's trump card, which is the thing between their legs that entices the things between men's legs, I think we might have a disabling of society, personally. We might have another run of fatherless homes, like liberals did to the black community, that destabilized it, even destabilized it till today. So I can see men who don't want to bother with women relieve themselves with these robotic women, sex toys. The fantastic women, the exceptional women, rise to the top. And those who are that mid-level, they either got to produce or not. when you have a bunch of women not able to have kids. So I can see men just falling in love with robots. And that's going to create major flaws in men. Definitely. The most intelligent, emotional, intelligent men and intellectually intelligent men are the men who can not only be successful in business and successful in health, and it's also one who can successfully navigate women. Because women are a strange and wonderful thing. But if you miscalculate in any way, they'll bite your head off. And everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? I still want real women to play the part they have always played. Half the population, half the importance of the human race. Scientists, alien life now seems inevitable and possibly imminent. They've been saying this for a long time. Various moons, comets, plants have stored water, organic molecules, amino acids like those made up of life on Earth. Now, alien life, we're not talking about intelligent life. We're talking about critters, single-cell organisms. And I think that's definitely possible. That can happen. But the big thing is, for someone who's religious like me, or who believes God has a hand on how the world came about, if you listen to the last podcast, the difference between a 6-day creation and a directed evolution over millions and millions of years is that I have no problem with either one of them at all. One has to do with power and knowledge, and the more power and knowledge, even humans would be able to create a world in 6 days. It all depends on the power requirements. If you have the power requirements, there are futurists today that believe that man can evolve to the point where we can control solar systems and maybe even galaxies. What is needed is the power requirements and how to harness that power and and the knowledge that it takes to do that. Well, as we are a learning species, and as we create more power sources, we will eventually get there. Maybe in 1,000 years to 2,000 years, the lengths of since Christ to now, might be something that can harness the power of our sun and keep it going and sustaining, refusing it. Whatever needs to be done, maybe we can terraform worlds like the very first Star Trek, right? Star Trek 2, The Wrath of Khan. This is based on a Khan goes after the Genesis, which can terraform a planet within 6 hours. And Dr. McCoy says, God did it in 6 days, we can do it in 6 hours. And which would be a terrible machine of destructive power if people were already living on it. I'm saying all that to say this, that if they find life on other planets, of course God, if he's the all-powerful being, and nothing beyond his power limits, and he's all-knowing. Of course, when God spoke the world into existence, he spoke life into existence. He spoke it everywhere in the galaxy, in the universe. And like always, I think if we are unique, then that's great. We are unique, and the Bible says we're unique, and I believe it. But if another intelligent race comes by, and another intelligent race goes by, the likeliness that would happen randomly, that much life would happen through random processes, is super highly unlikely after every intelligent life you come across, an even non-intelligent life. Those statistics get higher that it happened by mistake. If you're on the moon, say you're on some distant moon, you're on Titan, boom, we land in Titan, we're going looking at the seas in Titan, the waters, and then a submarine goes by and you go, oh my God, what are the chances that would happen by accident? And people go, oh, they're very high. But you know what? Sometimes randomness and millions of years equals a submarine sometimes. And then another submarine comes by. You're like, 2? What's the likeliness of that? And then a third one. You wait a minute. Is there like a submarine factory back there? Cause this don't make sense. This don't make sense. So the more life we find, I think, declares the glory of God. There's my religious futurism and scientism. But we'll see if they do. Let's see if they find it. Because I'm not going to get scared. I ain't get upset. I'll be fantastically surprised and intrigued. But if it comes out that we're the only, until my lifetime ends, that we're the only species of life, at least in our galaxy or in our section of the galaxy, and that's as far as we can reach at the time of my death, I also want to be surprised. Okay, I think I said enough about that. Not much. A dead cat named Pikachu is getting launched into space. Fantastic. The shuttling Pikachu into the cosmos will be a pet memorial service and offshoot of a human space memorial company. So there's people who gonna shoot people into space for money as a way, as a funeral. It's gonna ship off a cat first into space. Good for them. Capitalism. China says it'll have a moon base in 10 years. Do it. I dare you. And I hope America has an answer for it. Or somebody. NASA InSight Mars lander just recorded its first ever earthquake. Nice. Go to NASA InSight Twitter page. You can get some updates on what's going on with that rover. SpaceX won't admit that its crew capsule exploded. Sometime when you fill a small metal capsule with rocket fuel, it explodes. Yeah. And that's what appears to have happened in the past weekend when SpaceX attempted its static test of Dragon 2 capsule. It went kablooey. A large explosion says it blew up, but there's even a grainy video of the test that seems the show The Fireball. So, all right. Not much for space news. Sci-fi. Let me see. I think we got it all, folks, because we haven't done it for a while. Elon Musk's brain-computer interface update soon coming. SpaceX and Tesla CEO Elon Musk hinted at what could be an announcement of a brain-machine interface that could one day hook human brains to the computer on Sunday. Here we go. This is what I wanted to say. Yes, scientists say quantum material could download your brain. That's it, folks. If you can download your brain, cloning will be legal. Because then you're not going to die. You would just clone your body again and download your brain every time into your old body. Into your new body. And dump that old beat up, broke, busted body. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't know how they know that, but get ready for some mice and some monkeys to have their brain transferred to different shit. Get it done. Let me tell you something. If this has any truth to it, you need to try to live for the next 50 years. You need to try as most of all to live in the next 50 years. And you need to take a good part of your healthy DNA and store it somewhere. Where you're at right now is the best. If you have any old hair clippings or whatever, get that shit. Preserve it. And within 50 years, you might be faced with the possibility of never dying again. Obviously, it's going to be for the rich people first, like anything. And that could destabilize society when only rich people can live forever and poor people got to die. Go look at that TV show, Altered Carbon. The only thing wrong with Altered Carbon is that a society where people are not, where certain people are only getting clone bodies, and other people are getting all broke up, leftover bodies. They're able to download their consciousness to other things. If you look at the movie, the rich people got the best choice of where to download their consciousness, and the poor people, they just got, if your daughter got ran over, they download her consciousness into a 80-year-old lady body. And what? You saw you see an old lady Mommy. They're like, what? How come she got this body? This is what you got. You poor. The only problem with Altered Carbon is that society should have been a little more destabilized. Because that shit will just get people crazy. All right, folks, that's where we're going to end it there. If you have any questions, if you have any comments about anything I said, you can post it on any of my social media platforms. Just reference the podcast. Say, James, this is what I thought you were wrong, or this was right, this was a great point, this was a stupid point. Or you could just direct email me at jamessalazarmedia@gmail.com. Hey, if you're looking for coaching services, sometimes you just need momentum. Sometimes you just need someone to walk right next to you, hold your hand until you can get that momentum yourself. Just like on a training wheel. Sometimes we need training wheels for our dreams. If you want to check out my services, go to jamessalazarmedia.com and check them out, and we'll talk. If you want to follow me on any of the social media stuff, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, LinkedIn. Just type in James Salazar Media. I should come up. So, my friends, until then, when the storms of life come against you and you find yourself on your knees, stand tall. Look at that storm. And say what my sensei Jack Burton always says. Give me your best shot. Strike the music.
Strike the music.